Today, Apple reported record quarterly earnings after the bell with $18.4 billion in profit. But slowed growth in both revenue and iPhone sales meant that the stock ticked down in after hours. Matt Lynley and I dove into what this means for Apple and its shareholders.
So today was the big day. Apple reported earnings.
It's the most magical time of the year. It's like, or at least my favorite time of the year.
Yeah, you were definitely pretty excited with the countdown.
Gotta get pumped, yeah.
But they're down about 3% in after-hours trading. Investors were a little disappointed, even though they had a record profit and record revenue. Can you tell us a little bit more about why that happened?
So there's a couple things happening simultaneously. The big one is that iPhone growth is kind of slowing down a little bit, right? So analysts were looking for something like 75 million iPhones, and they came in just short of that. And then if you look at it compared to last year, it's only barely up. It's like a fraction of a percent. So Apple's biggest growth engine is starting to slow down and even stall, right? And so beyond that, there was another big issue where the company had given some guidance. They were looking for in the next quarter 50 to 53 billion in revenue. That's actually down from the revenue from last year, which means that this is going to be, I think, the first time that Apple has ever shown any kind of like a revenue drop and like negative growth since the iPhone launched, I think, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, and that's crazy for Apple because everyone just expects them to keep going up and up and up. Mm-hmm. They're the world's most valuable company, or at least the most valuable company in the stock market with $500 billion market cap.
Yeah, and then when the stock goes down 3%, it drops like 15 billion or something like that. It's it's a considerably large company in of itself, like when something like that happens.
Yeah, and there were a lot of concerns about the foreign currency.
Yeah, so the company is facing some headwinds when it comes to foreign exchange. Basically, the currency exchange rate is kind of wonky, and as a result, the company actually said that there was a $5 billion difference in revenue that could have been recorded as a result of foreign exchange headwinds. So, and this is tied to a big, like, global macro issues with the global economy, with softness in China, some other things going on simultaneously. And as a result, it puts a lot of downward pressure on Apple and like their ability to make money.
Yeah, and a lot of people say that Apple's become a one-trick pony. I mean, they have a lot of products, sure, but iPhone really counts for so much of their revenue. Mm-hmm. There's this other category, it's literally called Other, where they group in Apple Watch sales, Apple TV sales, Beats, accessories. It's a little bit murky about what's going on there.
Yeah, but we saw some growth there, right?
Significant growth. It was up over 40% in the past quarter, which I thought was interesting. It looks like maybe there were strong holiday sales with the Apple Watch, also the Apple TV. They came out with the 4th generation one in October. So 40% quarter over quarter, and then over 60% year over year. Yeah. Then again, Apple Watch came out in April of last year. So the year over year was expected, but the significant jump quarterly shows that something was happening in those categories. And Tim Cook even did mention that on the call. He said it was their best quarter ever for the Apple TV and also for the Apple Watch.
And this also puts everything in context, right? If your engine is starting to slow down, you need a suite of new products, right? You need things like the TV, you need things like the watch. And he actually made an interesting comment today where someone asked about VR, and he said that, no, it's not a niche, and it's something that's really interesting, which kind of like maybe it's a little bit of a signal that Apple is definitely looking into other products beyond just the watch or beyond just phones and things like that.
Yeah, because iPad sales has become less of a focus for the company as they've had larger phones and now there's less of a reason to buy a tablet if you have a giant iPhone.
Well, they now have the iPad Pro, right? But still, tablet sales were down again.
Yeah, so tablet sales declining, but that was expected. What was the big thing that stood out to you the most in Apple's earnings?
I mean, they have so much cash. It's ridiculous. I mean, Tim Cook even said on the call that it's just the mother of all balance sheets. I think that's what he said correctly. So it was absolutely ridiculous. But no, beyond that, I just think that within the first 2 sentences of the earnings call, he basically mentioned that the foreign exchange currency headwinds, right? And if that's so significant for the company that when you're a company like Apple and you're generating, tens of billions of dollars in revenue, that starts to become a serious issue, right? And it's going to be really interesting to see how Apple addresses that going forward.
Yeah, international is a huge focus for them.
Yeah,
there's a lot of competition also in China, so a lot of investors are watching what's happening there. Well, that pretty much covers it. We'll be back tomorrow. Facebook also reports earnings tomorrow, and PayPal, eBay. It looks like there's a lot happening in the weeks to come.